Start workers. In the middle of the 20th century, two old compensation systems were abolished from Swedish farming: torpmän and start workers. Torpare and startare in Swedish. The word torp has been used since the Middle Ages. Then it meant a newly built small dwelling with people who had moved out from a larger farm or village. During the 17th century, torp instead came to mean a small farm that was part of a larger property by larger farms, manors, and on-state-owned land. The torp man had a small cottage and a piece of land where he could grow food for himself and his family. He was also allowed to have a few cows and pigs. In order to earn the right to use the small field allotted to him, he was under obligation to work at the main farmhouse a set number of days a year, completing what was known as day works. These day works were often rather a burden, so he could not spend a lot of time cultivating his own little plot. In 1850, there were around 100,000 torp in Sweden. In 1914, the number had decreased to about 50,000. In 1943, the practice of stipulating day works as payment for the right to use the torp was outlawed, and the word torp lost its meaning in the leasehold sense. The category of farm workers who were the worst off was the start workers. The system of start involved workers being paid primarily in kind, not in money, and it was introduced at the large estates in Lake Mälaren Valley in the middle of the 18th century. In the middle of the 19th century, the system became common on larger farms as well. The starter quarters were usually run down and cramped, and cold during the winter. Often there were so-called starter rows at the farms, with several dwellings inside. The starter contracts ran for a year, and the so-called Slim Week fell in October. During that week, startare moving carts were seen on the roads as they searched for new employment. Even though the contracts only ran for 1 year, in practice, many start workers fell into serfdom at their farms. Since there were no cash wages, many workers ran up debts at the farm stores that sold various necessities. When they could not pay off their debts at the end of their contract, they could not leave and move to another employer.